live from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Good evening and welcome to the National News broadcast brought to you live from the National News Studios here at the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation. I am Dishan Veerakone and joining me tonight is Vidushini Sadis Kumar. First up, let's take a look at your headlines.
The Peradeniya University explains the reason for the earth tremors in Wallavaya and Buttala. The number of persons killed in the earthquake in Turkey and Syria exceeds 24,000. The President hands over deeds to 197 families to be resettled in the north. Crisis pertaining to payment of funds for coal shipments continues. The preliminary round of the national television Avrudhu Kumari contest begins. The Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation expands its transmission. The Sri Lankan female cricketers beat their South African counterparts.
Well, in your local stories this evening, Senior Professor of the Faculty of the Geological Studies of the Peradeniya University, Atula Senaratne says that the reason for recent earth tremors reported in Wallavaya and Buttala was due to the impact created in the earth shocks at the Carlsberg Mountain, the seabed near South India.
Meanwhile, a group of officials of the Geological Survey and Mining Bureau were engaged in an inspection tour in the area today. A minor tremor of the extent of 2.3 in the Richter scale was recorded from the area around 3 a.m. today. Residents have been given instructions upon the inspection tour of the area by officials of the Geological Survey and Mining Bureau. Minor tremors were reported from Wallavaya and Buttala at noon yesterday. The epicenter of the tremor has been located as an area near the Palvatha sugar factory. The first tremor was reported at 12:11 p.m. yesterday and the magnitude was recorded as 3 in the earthquake measurement equipment. The tremor was repeated around 12:14 p.m. yesterday and recorded as 3.5 in the measurement scale. The Geological Survey and Mining Bureau says that these tremors have been recorded in the earth tremor measurement equipment at Pallekele, Mahakanadarawa and Hakmana and Buddangala. Earth tremors of less than 3 in the Richter scale have been recorded from Buttala and Wallavaya in the past few years. The area has been identified as a zone sensitive to the earth tremors but in a smaller scale. A new geological plate is being created in the Indo-Australian earth plate below Sri Lanka. However, the Geological Studies Division of the Peradeniya University says these developments bear no possibilities of the recurrence of a tsunami-type situation.
Now on to some update from the Turkey earthquake. More than 24,500 people are now known to have died after Monday's earthquake in southern Turkey and northern Syria. The country's disaster agency said that massive rescue operations continue in Turkey's southeastern provinces as the death toll soared to 20,937, with more than 80,000 others injured from Monday's devastating earthquakes. Meanwhile, Cuba prepared to send healthcare workers to Turkey and Syria, joining a growing group of nations providing rescue and medical aid to the region after a devastating earthquake this week. Cuban authorities said 32 medics were set to depart from Turkey. A United Nations official said up to 5.3 million people in Syria may have been made homeless by the devastating earthquakes which rocked the region this week. He also said the UN estimated that 5.37 million people affected by the quake will need shelter assistance across the country. Meanwhile, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad criticized Western countries in his first televised comments since the 7.8 magnitude earthquake struck parts of the country 5 days ago. The media reported that Assad and his wife Asma visited different sites affected by the earthquake and visited survivors at a hospital in Aleppo. The USA says its sanctions are not imposed on humanitarian efforts, and yesterday the US Treasury issued a general license for 180 days which authorizes all earthquake relief-related transactions otherwise prohibited by sanctions regulations. The Syrian Foreign Ministry called this a measure, a means to give a false impression of humanity. Procurement of equipment for the specialist team of the Sri Lanka Army scheduled to leave for Syria and Turkey for detection, rescue as well as provision of relief for the victims of the Syrian-Turkish earthquake has taken place. Director General of the Disaster Management Centre, retired Major General Sudhanta Ranasinghe, has handed over the items to the Sri Lanka Army Main Disaster Training Institute in Gampala today. The rescue operations are being carried out in joint collaboration of the United States Representative Association on International Development Tasks pertaining to humanitarian operations and the Disaster Pre-Preparedness Centre.
Now, President Ranil Wickremesinghe says the northern province will be developed in a manner to extend extensive contributions to the national economy. Now, the president adds that the pace of development relies upon the attitudes and the extent of commitment of the masses. President Ranil Wickremesinghe made these remarks participating in a discussion in the northern province in Jaffna yesterday. Several political representatives and intellectuals in the northern province were present on the occasion. The president also said that a 10-year plan is needed to bring the country out of the current economic crisis. The president further said that the government is implementing a special program to develop the tourism industry from Mannar to Trincomalee. President Ranil Wickremesinghe said that there have been dialogues on sharing maximum power under the reconciliation program and on the political affairs in the north of the country. He added that he had focused attention on the issue during his speech in the parliament on the 8th of this month. The president added that he believes that a massive development in the northern province should take place in parallel to the economic development program in the country. The economy of Jaffna completely collapsed due to the war. It has not yet reached the anticipated level of economic development. The president also said, therefore, they hope to work under a 10-year plan to bring the country to that stage. He also said that, therefore, they have to get not only foreign aid, but also aid from the diaspora to realize this end. He has also pointed out that they have to work out a plan to recover from today's economic collapse. The country has to pay back the debts that it has already taken. In addition, they have to get foreign loans this year for the country's future. They should also be paid back. In addition, it is required to maintain a foreign exchange surplus. Therefore, the president added that their expectation is to develop an export-oriented economy as well as a competitive economy. To achieve this target, they have selected some major provinces, out of which the northern province is one. If that program was to be implemented properly, the economy of the northern province would have changed commendably, turning to become a major economy. Accordingly, the first effort is to see that agriculture in the north, central and eastern provinces becoming modernized. The government's ambition is to get 6 to 7 metric tons of harvest per acre from the paddy cultivation from Kilinochchi to the Kumana area and in the area from there to Udawalawe. Thus, when paddy production increases in those areas, land in other areas will be available for other investments. In addition, a program is required to make the fishing industry commercially viable. Not only the traditional fishing industry but shrimp farming should also be prioritized. The president further said that they are negotiating with the Indian government to resolve the bottom trawling problem at hand. Additionally, special attention has been drawn to provide a solution to the water issue in the northern province. There is also a solution of a program to boost the tourism industry in the province. Another is to install solar panels in the tanks, and they have explored the possibility of producing green hydrogen. The country could generate a surplus of 30 to 40 megawatts from the beach extending from Puttalam to Mullaitivu and in the beaches in Hambantota. The investigations on them are in progress. The future lies with green ammonia and green hydrogen production. Most of it would come from the northern province, and that can turn the economy of the north completely, transform it to become a strong economy. In addition, the country needs to promote tourism between Mannar and Trincomalee. Small shipping line services will also commence in these islands. Tourist visits to traditional Hindu temples will also be restored. It is also necessary to mention that measures are being taken to establish industrial zones in Mankulam and Parantan. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has also declared open the newly constructed Culture House in Jaffna. The project was constructed at a cost of 135 billion rupees of Indian aid. The foundation stone for the centre was laid during the Sri Lankan tour of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi in 2015. Indian State Minister of Fisheries L. Murugan, Ministers Douglas Devananda and Vidura Wickramanayake, State Minister Kadir Mastan and Angajan Ramanathan, and Parliamentarians Selvan Adekalanathan and M.A. Sumandiram, as well as the Indian High Commissioner in Sri Lanka Gopal Bagle, have also participated in the program. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has presided over the presentation of land deeds for 179 families to be resettled in the north in the Jaffna District Secretariat today. The distribution of deeds has taken place as a fulfillment of promise to return the lands under the control of the security forces personnel during the war period in the north and the east to the original residents. Each of the families has been presented with a cheque valued at 38,000 rupees. The displaced residents have expressed their gratitude to the President over handing them over the lands deprived of their ownership in the period of 33 years of displacement.
Political parties throughout the island are reported to be organizing public meetings in connection with the local government election. A public meeting organized by the Samagi Janabala Vegaya was presided over by opposition leader Sajith Premadasa in Maharagama yesterday. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa said that the problem is the bankruptcy of the country. The country does not have enough money and there is a dollar shortage. He said they need to bring the country out of bankruptcy. In order to do so, ways have to be found to earn money. He also said that the country's financial problem could be resolved through state mechanism. General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Dayasiri Jayasekara, has presided over a meeting in Kegol to enlighten the candidates of the party. General Secretary of the SLFP, Dayasiri Jayasekara, said that first of all, they would strive to make the party victorious as much as possible. He added that thereafter, they would look into the people who could manage a Pradesh Sabha. Dayasiri Jayasekara added that the moment to purify the SLFP has commenced. He also said they would start from the Pradesh Sabha level. Pradesh Sabha councillors are those who do not steal and who do not plunder national wealth. Leader of the National People's Party, Andrakumara Disanayaka, has presided over a public meeting in Nikavarattiya, Kurunegala. MP Andrakumara Disanayaka said that the Pradesh Sabhas could take initiative to erect roads to build Montessoris. The Pradesh Sabha is the stepping stone to form the next government. Andrakumara Disanayaka also said the Pradesh Sabha election would determine who would create the central government at a national election.
Now, the Ceylon Coal Company says that a problematic situation continues to exist pertaining to the payment of dues for coal shipments. Now, the chairman of the company, Shehan Sumarsekara, says the main reason being not receiving funds as scheduled for payment. Chairman of the Ceylon Coal Company, Shehan Sumarsekara, said that they have so far been involved in the unloading of coal from 11 ships under the program of the provision of coal for the period 2022 and 2023. The chairman also said that the 12th ship carrying coal has reached Puttalam on the 7th of this month. The ship was to be paid a sum of 3.2 billion rupees as 70% of coal shipments. However, unfortunately, the Ceylon Electricity Board was unable to provide this money. As a result, unloading has been delayed. The 13th coal ship has reached the Puttalam jetty. Up to now, a major portion of the 3.2 billion rupees has been paid back and the suppliers have agreed to commence unloading since this morning. A further 700 million rupees remains to be repaid. He added that it is most likely that the unloading of the 13th ship would commence on next Monday. The 14th coal-carrying ship was scheduled to reach the Puttalam jetty this evening. The chairman also said his organization is in need of 15.7 billion rupees each week. He also said that they were unable to provide the required sum of money but pledged that unloading will definitely be carried out next week. Now, the crowning of the national television Aurudhu Kumariya is in occasion of realizing the dreams of young lasses.
They are being given an opportunity this year as well to attain this crowning glory. The preliminary round contest of the Rupavahini 2023 Beauty Queen contest was conducted at the SLRC premises today. More than 14,000 applications have been received from many parts of the island for the 2023 Rupavahini contest. 1,000 female adolescents have been called for the first round today. Out of this number, only 100 competitors would be entitled to enter the second round of the contest. Today's selection of young beauties have been carried out by a veteran panel of judges, which included Universal Beauty Queen of 2005, Roseanne Dias, veteran dance teacher Chandana Vikramasinghe, the married Universal Beauty Queen of 2015, Udari Pereira, and brand ambassador of Soba Salon and veteran beautician Nadisha De Silva. The Soba Salon Manufacturing Institute are the sponsors of the 2023 Rupavahini contest. The print media sponsor is the Navalia newspaper.
Now this is the story of a friend of the ocean which protects the ocean itself. Now the storyteller is an exquisite fish known by the name of the parrotfish. It is a beautiful creature. There are many types of edible fish in the ocean. Our fishermen should be enlightened over not catching this special type of fish as it renders an unlimited service to the sea environment. There are many other varieties of fish that fishermen are able to catch. The parrotfish lives around coral reef and consume a harmful algae living among the corals, thus protecting the valuable marine resource. Parrotfish spends 90% of its eating time eating dead coral pieces and harmful algae variety. Many types of harmful algae among the corals destroy the corals in the tropical zones. The main reason being the absence of an adequate population of parrotfishes in the coral zones. Other plant-eating fishes are not able to match the services of the special variety. Another significant feature of the parrotfish is the emission of white sand as its droppings. Each parrotfish is reported to be releasing 320 kilograms of white sand in a year, which amounts to 700 pounds.
Parrotfish, if what we call in Sinhala as girava, is one of the most important fish species we can observe around rocks or coral habitats. So there is a very sometimes smaller fish in 6-7 inches, but most of the times they enlarge or they grow into 1 or 2 feet in size. They are very green or brown or sometimes in very orange in colors and very vivid and very colorful. So that color add coral reefs or other larger rocks in the ocean. Very important feature for the coral reefs, so that ultimately help tourists to come and observe this fish. So therefore tourists come and observe this fish like other color fish, but at the same time tourists tend to spear them, or using spear guns they tend to kill this fish mostly as a food fish. In most of tourist areas you can observe these fish are to be sold in large numbers. Mainly they are used in barbecues or in fry these fish as a whole. So therefore as a food component, as a food item, this fish is one of the most important component in tourism trade. But since this fish is now in great danger, as a country we should take some steps to protect this fish, because since this fish is ecologically important, at the same time tourism perspective this fish is very much important for the country. Therefore we must take some actions to protect this fish through some regulations, or maybe some protective measures, or through some awareness, or at the same time ask people to not use this fish in large numbers in their food as a food item.
Now, all 3 channels of the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation are scheduled to commence telecast covering the Jaffna region.
As an initial step in this connection, the telecasting activities of the Netra channel have commenced today. Accordingly, Netra channel of the national television becomes the only Tamil channel to cover the entire island. The program is being conducted in parallel to the 75th National Independence Day commemoration and the 41st anniversary of the national television. The Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation has been engaged in transmission from the Kokaville Transmitting Centre since its inception. Transmission from the Kokaville Centre was halted due to the destruction of the centre by the LTTE during the war period. However, the transmission tower at the Palali Air Force Camp has been engaged in transmission of Rupavahini channels until recently without obstructions. Yet, television broadcasting to Jaffna has been disrupted several months ago due to conducting of maintenance activities at the Palali Tower. Measures have been taken to resume transmission with the objective of allowing Tamil viewers to watch the Netra channel of the national TV. Accordingly, television broadcasting got underway from the transmission tower of the Sri Lanka Telecom in Jaffna, providing island-wide coverage. The people in Jaffna will be able to watch clearly the pictures of the Netra channel from today. People in the north would also be accorded the opportunity to watch the ChannelEye of the national television from the 15th of this month in parallel to the 41st anniversary of the national television. Deputy Director General Engineering of the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, Kapila Dasanayaka, Engineer Transmission M.R.S. Ali have also attended the event. Technical officials and assistants comprising of Technical Administration Officer Nishantha Amarnath are engaged in installing the equipment.
And with that, we'll take a short commercial break. Stay tuned for more local stories coming up on the other side.
Happy Valentine's Day! Prema Kottumisha, the hot and spicy love every day.
பிள்ளைகள் படிக்கச் செல்லும் முதல் நாளிலே முதல் பாடமாக சேமிப்பதை சொல்லிக் கொடுங்கள். சிசோதான கணக்கினை மக்கள் வங்கியுடன் ஆரம்பியுங்கள். அதிக வட்டி, அதிக பரிசுகள், அதிக சலுகைகள்.
வாழ்வு கதையின் சுவினுக்கு அத்தியாயம் அதை நான் இன்று எழுதவே இவ்வுலகையும் நானே வெல்லவே சத்தியம் பலமும் தேவை.
பிள்ளைகள் பள்ளிக்கு செல்லும் முதல் நாளிலே முதல் பாடமாக சேமிப்பதை சொல்லிக் கொடுங்கள். சிசோதான கணக்கினை மக்கள் வங்கியுடன் ஆரம்பியுங்கள். அதிக வட்டி, அதிக பரிசுகள், அதிக சலுகைகள். மக்கள் வங்கியின் சிசோதான உலகை வெல்ல உங்கள் சிறார்களுக்கு சக்தியை வழங்குங்கள்.
Welcome back, and we continue with more local stories now. The Hyundai Grand i10 motor car assembled for the first time in Sri Lanka was introduced to the market yesterday.
Now, President Ranil Wickremesinghe has presided over the ceremony held in this connection. The vehicle has been jointly assembled by the Abans Auto Company and the Hyundai Motor Company of Korea at a factory equipped with modern technology in Sidua. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has stated at the occasion that the local motor car assembling project is a gigantic milestone in the field of vehicle assembly and manufacturing of vehicle accessories. Minister Ramesh Patirana and the Korean ambassador in Sri Lanka, Santush Woonjinjeong, have also attended the event. At the invitation of the Foreign Minister of Sri Lanka, the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs of Pakistan, Hina Rabbani Khan, visited Sri Lanka on the 3rd of February to attend the 75th Independence Day celebrations of Sri Lanka. Now, participating for a special interview with national television, Rupavahini, Foreign Minister emphasized that the bilateral relationships between the two nations should be improved.
Like to know, how would you sum up Sri Lanka-Pakistan bilateral relations spanning over 75 years?
Okay, so I truly believe coming to Colombo reinstates the fact, and I will not call it my view because I think it's a fact, that there can be an island of excellence in a midst of broken relationships. Because I think South Asia and the larger region that we belong to, which is also called the SAARC region, has suffered from a lack of cohesion, cooperation to unleash the potential of its own people and the region. But when you look at Pakistan and Sri Lanka's ties, you see a consistent trend towards an upward trajectory You see predictability in the relationship. You see the two countries being aligned by and large in the multilateral fora. And you see that alignment in the multilateral fora translate into specific bilateral cooperation. So whether it's people-to-people contact, you know that a lot of Sri Lankan citizens come to Pakistan on scholarship program also. Other areas, there are areas in which Sri Lanka does very well. For instance, now we want to cooperate in the tourism area. That's an area where you have done much better than in Pakistan. Pakistan has real potential. Business-to-business contact, students contact, universities contact. So really the sky is the limit to how far they can go. But to this day, they have been friendly, cooperative, and predictable, which is a lot to say.
According to your view, what's the driving force behind this strong relationship?
Sanity, just sanity, logical thinking, because you don't need to recreate the wheel. The world is an open book of examples that regional cooperation is what really unleashes the potential for every country. So whether you look at the European Union or European countries, or you look at African countries even, you look at the GCC. GCC went through a bit of a tough time, but they were able to overcome the challenge of that tough time because they were forward-looking. I think in South Asia, the problem is that we are backward-looking. We are unable to get over some of the historical issues that we might have had. So we are bogged down by history rather than allowing us to use lessons from history to be able to move forward and be forward-looking for the sake of our children.
Now, a special delegation from India, including Indian Minister of State L. Murugan and Co-Minister Annamalai, has participated in ceremonies organized in Jaffna to mark the 75th independence anniversary of Sri Lanka. Now, they took part in several sideline events as well as inspected the development projects conducted with the support of India. This delegation was honoured and welcomed by Jaffna intellectuals. The purpose of their visit is to hand over the Jaffna Cultural Centre, which was funded by the Indian government. They were also scheduled to discuss on the inauguration of a shipping service in between Kankasanture to Karaikal, India. Minister Douglas Devananda and President of the Sri Lanka Workers' Congress and Indian Consul General Rakesh Nadraj have also participated in the function. The Indian delegation has also visited the Mana Tirukidishwaram Kovil and had a special puja. They also had a discussion with the committee of the Tirukidishwaram Kovil about the ongoing renovation of the Kovil. This renovation is being carried out under Indian assistance. They have also attended a function led by female family members who have been honoured by the Livelihood Assistance Program. India Consul General Rakesh Nadraj also attended the event.
Indonesian Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Mrs. Devi Gastini Tobing, has said that her country is supporting the Sri Lankan government's program to rebuild the country's economy. Well, she made those comments during a brief interview with Rupavahini.
First item on the agenda today will be the address by the President of
Now, Sri Lanka and Indonesia, our relations are getting stronger. So, what can you say about the current situation of our relations?
Well, we have a very good relations. We established our diplomatic relation about 70 years ago. Last year, we celebrate the 70 years anniversary of our diplomatic relations. But before that, actually, we have a very strong relation. As you may know, we have here in Sri Lanka Malay society. Most of them actually descended from Indonesia a few centuries ago. So that is actually bring us now at this time. Indonesia always supports Sri Lanka, and last year Sri Lanka experienced economic crisis, and even still until now. In that way, we try to contribute as much as we can. We give medicine assistance as humanitarian assistance to Sri Lanka. But most important thing for me as an ambassador, to see how possible to support Sri Lanka in a more sustainable way. So in that way, now we are looking at an opportunity to support Sri Lanka. Now we are working with the Ministry of Health to give a soft loan for the medicine. We are working on that actually. We haven't really started, but that is actually probably at the very near future we could do. And later on, when it is already been able to succeed in doing this, we could do also support to the private sector in order to support the industry of Sri Lanka. So happy to have a good relation with Sri Lanka. So again, the relation first important also for and trade and economic relation. But I'm looking also the opportunity to support people-to-people connection, people-to-people links between our two countries, as well in education.
What are the specific areas that you are targeting to enhance relations in the future?
Well, in the future, actually, as I mentioned, how Indonesia could support the business people in Sri Lanka. I'm now working with my Exim Bank, Indonesian Exim Bank, to see possibility of my Exim Bank to support the industry by bringing Indonesian intermediate products here and then processing in Sri Lanka. In that way, we expect that we could have win-win by enjoying the value added, a part in Indonesia and also a part in Sri Lanka. That is actually that can bring our relation even stronger. And another thing also, I'm looking for cooperation in education between Indonesia and Sri Lanka. I know there are systems in Sri Lanka that may also could be connected with Indonesia later, so that students or youth from Sri Lanka also could study in Indonesia.
Now, Iran today celebrated the 44th anniversary of the 1979 Islamic Revolution with nationwide commemorative ceremonies. Now, the main ceremony was held in the capital Tehran with the participation of the military and the general public. A special ceremony was held in Colombo yesterday to mark the 44th anniversary of the Islamic Revolution. It was organized by the Iranian Embassy in Colombo. A large number of dignitaries, including former presidents, participated at the reception. The ceremony was conducted under the patronage of the Ambassador of the Islamic Republic of Iran to Sri Lanka, Hashem Ashjazadeh.
Time of its economic crisis. Meanwhile, medical aid from the Islamic Republic of Iran worth several $100,000 will arrive Sri Lanka in the coming days, and it is in fact a path we are trying to continue. Similarly, despite the unfair pressures on Sri Lanka in the field of human rights, which shows the double standards of some countries, the Islamic Republic of Iran stood with Sri Lanka and did not fail to provide any help in this direction. Just as importantly, Iran's foreign policy is based on friendship, equality to relationship with all countries that interact with us from an equal stand. And Sri Lanka has surely a special place in Iran's foreign policy.
Meanwhile, Ambassador Hashim Ashjazage visited Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation this week, which coincides with the 44th anniversary of the Islamic Revolution. Now, discussions were held between the visiting ambassador and the chairman of the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, W.B. Ganigal.
Six. They learned also now. Yeah, we learned.
Well, that's it for your local stories. Stay tuned for news overseas.
பிள்ளைகள் படிக்க செல்லும் முதல் நாளிலே முதல் பாடமாக சேமிப்பதை சொல்லிக் கொடுங்கள். சிசோதான கணக்கினை மக்கள் வங்கியுடன் ஆரம்பியுங்கள். அதிக வட்டி, அதிக பரிசுகள், அதிக சலுகைகள். பிள்ளைகள் படிக்க செல்லும் முதல் நாளிலே முதல் பாடமாக சேமிப்பதை சொல்லிக் கொடுங்கள். சிசோதான கணக்கினை மக்கள் வங்கியுடன் ஆரம்பியுங்கள். அதிக வட்டி, அதிக பரிசுகள், அதிக சலுகைகள்.
Welcome back, and now taking a look at your international stories for tonight. US President Joe Biden ordered a fighter jet to shoot down an unidentified high-altitude object off Alaska yesterday.
The White House said the unmanned object was the size of a small car and posed a reasonable threat to civilian aviation. It also said the object's purpose and origin was unclear. It comes a week after the American military destroyed a Chinese balloon over U.S. territorial waters. The White House said yesterday the debris field of the object shot down yesterday was much smaller than the balloon shot down last Saturday off the coast of South Carolina. It said that the object was flying at 40,000 feet over the northern coast of Alaska. It had already flown across Alaska at a speed of 20 to 40 meters per hour and was out over the sea traveling towards the North Pole when it was shot down.
Happy Valentine's Day! Prima Kottumisha, the hot and spicy love every day.
Welcome back. Now taking a look at your sports stories for tonight. Now, the Sri Lanka women's cricketers have been able to secure a thrilling 3-run victory against the South African women's team in the first match of the current World Cup Women's T20 cricket tournament.
South Africa were the hosts of the tournament being played in South Africa. In the match played in Cape Town, the Sri Lanka team batting first has scored 129 runs for the loss of 4 wickets within 20 overs. The opening partnership of 28 runs was broken when Harshrita Samaravikrama was out for 8 runs. Thereafter, captain of the team Chamari Athapaththu has built a 86 runs partnership for the second wicket with Vishmi Gunaratne. Chamari Athapaththu has scored 68 runs facing 50 deliveries. Her inning has included 12 boundaries. Vishmi Gunaratne also scored 35 runs. The South African team's score was restricted to 156 runs for the loss of 9 wickets at the end of 20 overs. Captain Sunil Lose has scored 28 runs. Inoka Ranavira took 3 wickets for 18 runs. Sugandhika Kumari and Oshadi Ranasinghe have captured 2 wickets each. The best player of the match was Chamari Athapaththu. The second match of Sri Lanka will be played tomorrow against the Bangladesh team.
Happy Valentine's Day! Prima Kottumisha, the hot and spicy love every day.
Well, that's a wrap of tonight's primetime news bulletin here at the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation. And until we meet again next time, do